Hello, and today I'll be reviewing Pokemon Journeys episode 43, Sword and Shield 2, or Part 2, The Black Knight. Now, this was a really good episode lore-wise. We got lots of information that we already knew from the games, like about the Darkest Day and Galar particles, but they did mix in some new things like Sonia and Leon's past, and Magnolia's history with Chairman Rose. So the episode starts with Team Rocket working in the power plant on orders from Giovanni, which is pretty interesting. It would be pretty cool if Giovanni actually makes an appearance in this arc, since that dude from the last episode wasn't him. It's kind of a troll, but funny anyway. But that aside, after that we see Goh, who's tired of Sonia's driving, and they arrive at Turfield Town to look at the geoglyph in the grass. And then they talk about the legends of the single hero who saved Galar, and then we find out that Sonia is investigating the legend as homework for her grandmother. Then she asks Go what he thinks of the geoglyph, and he says that it looks like a rampaging Pokemon, and she says that it looks a lot like the current situation. So after that, Go makes a comparison to the time when he saw Lugia, which was a callback to episode 2, and says that maybe Vortex appear when legendary tier Pokemon show up, so the Darkest Day may be connected to a powerful Pokemon. He also talks about how he saw a massive Pokemon in the clouds when he first came to Galar, which we know is Eternatus. We also see Team Rocket, who talk about how they've been given intel on the strongest Pokemon that's supposed to be in this plant, which is also Eternatus. And I'm actually surprised with Team Rocket's ability to gather intel and Giovanni's connections. I wonder if he knows someone in Galar, similar to how he knew Nanu in Gen 7, but that was never fully explained, so I guess we'll never know. So as Galar particles are leaking out of the power plant, causing Pokemon the Gigantamax and Dynamax, Chairman Rose is just letting it all happen and says the Darkest Day will revive Eternatus, the savior of Galar. And while that's going on, Goh and Sonia make their way to Professor Magnolia's lab since they're both headed there. And Sonia asks Goh about the 4 tapestries in the Hammerlock Vault. She says that some people consider it the story of Galar's birth, and she asks Goh on his take on it. And Go questions why there are 2 people on the tapestry but only 1 statue of the hero. And Sonia says she was thinking the same thing and that the people probably made mistakes retelling the story over time. Sonia also says that she'll report this to her grandma so that she can pass the test and become a Pokemon professor. Then we find out why she wants to become a Pokemon professor, and it's mostly because of her grandma and Leon, which we learn in a flashback because she says she and Leon were childhood friends and that they both dreamed of becoming strong trainers. And we also learned that Sonia thought about battling him, but after Leon made his debut, it was clear that he was definitely superiorly talented, and then Leon just became champion. And so Sonia ends her story by saying that she knew she couldn't beat Leon, but wanted to work with Pokemon in a different way. So she's decided on becoming a professor. And I really like how they flashed out Leon's and Sonia's history in the anime because we didn't know this much about them in the game. Just that they were friends, and I really like how they showed pictures of them growing up together. Meanwhile, Ash and Leon battle Gigantamax Coalosal and defeat it. I really hope we get a scene similar to what we got with Leon and Go later, where Ash acts as Leon, something similar to what Go acts Sonia, so that we learn more about him and his path to the championship. So after the Gmax battle, the mine workers start throwing rocks at Coalosal, but Ash is a good dude, so he protects them. Then Chairman Rose shows up and introduces himself to Ash and says that he came all the way over here to see what was happening, but we know that he really doesn't care at all. Then Leon tells Ash about how Rose took interest in him and raised him, and I always find that phrasing weird because they make it sound like Rose raised Leon as a son when really he just groomed him to become champion. So after the introductions, Leon asks Rose if he's figured out why Dynamax Pokemon are running rampant, and Chairman Rose acts like he doesn't know what's happening, and then just simply questions if this is a threat to Galar or simply a trial necessary for the future. And then Leon warns him that at this rate the lives of Galar's people and Pokemon will crumble, and Ash agrees with him, saying that Pokemon aren't doing this because they want to. Then Chairman Rose invites him to dinner, and of course Ash agrees. Meanwhile, Go finally gets to Professor Magnolia's house, and Go talks about how researching legendary Pokemon is interesting, and Sonia says he would make a good professor one day. And the moment she said that, I was thinking that would actually be perfect for Go, but Go says that he actually wants to accomplish his goal first, but this does leave the door open for Go to have a second goal. And I think that would make Go a pretty interesting character. But right after that, we see a wishing star fall from the sky and it lands near Go, and Professor Magnolia says that they fall into the hands of those who bear earnest wishes. And then she talks to Go about Dynamax Pokemon and Galar particles. and how she used them to create Dynamax Bands with Chairman Rose. And right after that, we see Sonia bring out the Dynamax Band that she made for Goh. And Goh having a Dynamax Band isn't too shocking, since it was always going to be potential. It's kind of like how all of the Sun and Moon crew can use Z moves and had Z crystals. So after that, Sonia shows Professor Magnolia her research homework into the legends, and Professor Magnolia says she approves, and so Sonia thanks Goh for his help. But Sonia doesn't pass the test yet because she hasn't figured out where the Sword and Shield Pokemon are, or how the disaster was prevented. Then we get Ash's meeting with Chairman Rose, where Chairman Rose offers Ash his support if he'll help him, and Ash says I'll pass because he wants to travel the world on his own 2 feet, which shocks Chairman Rose and angers Alina, but it's very in character for Ash to want to do things on his own. So after the meeting, Ash calls Goh and they make plans to meet at the Stoneside Ruins over the phone. And right after that, we see Leon reflecting on what Chairman Rose said to him, and he wonders if Chairman Rose knows something and isn't investigating. And I really like this because in the game, we didn't really get moments like this from other characters' perspectives because we played as the main character. So seeing that Leon isn't completely unaware of what Chairman Rose is up to is pretty cool. And right after that, we see Magnolia telling Sonia about why she stopped working with Chairman Rose, and it was because she can sense madness in his gaze, and he will stop at nothing to achieve his goals. She also says that she's suspicious of the Dynamax Pokemon rampaging, so she tells Sonia to make haste in uncovering the truth about the legends. And while that's going on, Olina sends some Marcos Cosmos employees after Sonia, who arrives in Snow on Side Town with Goh. But it looks like they came and saw a kid drawing, and right as they were deciding to move on, that's when the fake Giovanni, Marcos Cosmos employee, shows up and tries to stop them. And that's when he G-Maxes, so Goh Dynamaxes for the first time too with Raboot, and they end up destroying the mural and unveiling that there were statues behind the mural. So this episode gave us lots of information and lore from the game mixed in with some new stuff in the anime, and so far they've been doing a pretty good job of doing that in this arc, and this episode was full of lots of setup, and I wonder how quickly they can wrap up this arc. We still have quite a few things that need to happen regarding Ash and Goh's 2 Pokemon, and Chairman Rose and Eternatus. So with that being said, let me know what you thought of this episode. Thanks for watching, and bye.